All right. Me, green shirt check. Dog and camera check. Dog on floor check. Everything's check. We're good to go. We're here with Houston with a Problem Livecast 126. Nice and green today. I'm loving it. I think we got at least 1 or 2 more days of it. Woo! And this. All right, here we are. Man, everything went rocketing today. I think we'll be well above 200 tomorrow. Again, I've got the feeling that the shorts have loaded up on calls. They're going to allow this thing to run to a certain level, put a couple of smaller hedge funds at risk, because who gives a crap, and they're going to cash out those calls, buy a bunch of puts, and then they're going to hit us with the ammo they've been saving up for shorting. So I don't think this is quite the moonshot, unless we get to that 350 level and all of a sudden Ryan Cohen goes, you know what, I'm going to spend a lot of money on these stocks, and starts buying some more. But I don't know if he's going to be doing that quite yet. So, yeah, those who got calls right now are just making a fortune. My 422 $119 calls they've gone up $7,000 in the last 6 days. So, not too shabby. I'll take it. I'll take it gladly. So, there you go. And then other news is, Putin's poisoning people. And they also tied the ruble to gold, saying 1 gram of gold is worth 5,000 rubles, I think. So it's direct ratio. And then saying only people can only buy gold from them using rubles. Problem is that everybody's banned from buying gold from Russia, so Russia's not moving any gold. And like 30% of their reserves are stored outside the country and have been seized via sanctions. So there was a thing like, oh, Russia's going to rule the world because they're going to have this gold standard and everyone's going to have to buy gold from them. People can buy gold from other people without having to go through Russia. Also, I don't know how secure Russian gold actually is, especially if the banks holding it are getting vaporized. It's a country full of corruption, so who wouldn't just take a bunch of gold? People steal nukes in Russia. Why wouldn't they steal gold, right? Okay. That's all I had for updates. Today was just a big old boner. It's going to be hard keeping this thing out of the screen here. But, man, green. Okay. Chakaseki, Mimapalooza 2022. Hedgie's about to get slapped harder than Chris Rock. GME's having its BTW brand. GME is having its biggest positive run ever. AMC did 45%. Up their mining plays up 75%. John Castro, why did Will Smith open hand slap Rock? Because paper beats rock. Oof. All right. And Brandy Deputy, nice run today. Great call, Houston. Happy birthday. Kamikaze Trading. Hey, Houston. Enjoy your channel. Keep up the great work. BW brand, Power Hour, all the meme stocks started climbing. I think just before I came on, I think GameStop finally settled above 190. Where are we? Yeah, it's happily above 190 now, 190.61. Looks like it might be plateauing for the afternoon. Because a lot of times when we see the crazy runs in after hours, it's about now while I'm doing my show. But, AMC's way up. Cost is way up. Roots up. Who else went up today? Gree had a good green day. Express, BlackBerry, Bed Bath & Beyond, Ethereum, Clove, Emeren. What did Emeren do? Emeren did 35% between 3:30 and close. Holy shit. Dang, if somebody had some Emeren calls, they just made a fortune in the last few minutes. Yeah, those look like the big meme winners today. But heck, man, what a wonderful day, right? Let's get a couple more days of that before we get reality slapped back into us again, because that we ride that roller coaster. We're used to this, man. We're used to this. Okay. John Castro, I think Houston bought calls in HYMC. Now I can buy the engine. I didn't get calls in HYMC. I forgot. I forgot to get calls in HYMC. I was going to get a bunch of like $5 calls or something, and I just plumb forgot. Forgot to do it. Oh well. Okay. All right. To be brand, I was surprised to hear they finished offering 145 million shares over the weekend. Guess the little mine that might actually take off. I think it still has the potential to be a massive squeeze play. I am waiting to see what the updated short interest is now that they've like tripled the float. Until then, I think it's still a squeeze play, but I still don't think the mine is particularly viable. Looking at the geology of it, I don't, unless gold hits like $5,000 an ounce, I don't think they can make a profit off of mining that sand. I just don't think the ore is high enough grade or enough concentrations to do that. But still, I still think it's beyond those fundamentals. I think it's still a definite squeeze play for sure. Yeah, and if they're smart, they would file with the SEC for another offering, and then if the sucker squeezes, that's when they sell stuff for $10 a share or more. Okay. Red lightsaber 50. It's not safe for work, so view at your own discretion. All right, 50 degrees north, 14 degrees east. Is that the booby warehouse? I bet that's the booby warehouse. One sec. Oh yeah, that's the booby warehouse. I know what you guys are sending me now. There's full on. Yep. One time I went live with that one, and I think that's definitely a schlong there. Peeking in. Well, that's the guy's feet. I'm not sure. But anyway, there's a warehouse in like, is it Belarus or Ukraine? Where am I? That somebody painted a porn scene, like a photorealistic porn scene on top of. Where am I? Oh, Czech Republic. Okay. I thought it was further east than that. All right, there you go. Yes, you folks can at home go look at that coordinate. All right. Kelly Schneider, hi from Ontario. Hello, Kelly. All right. Pip Ray, M materials only red left in my portfolio. Everything else is up huge. Time to cut the cord. Continue to be patient. I'm waiting until they announce a dividend. If the dividend is puny, then yeah, I cut the cord. But if the dividend is something significant, then that metamaterial I think is going to be worth a fortune. So, I'm slowly picking up more here and there if I want, when I can. And I have some calls for metamaterial for next January, but if they announce a big dividend, I may pick up calls for maybe 3-4 months out from that date because I can get them cheaper. I can get a whole bunch of them. And that's when I think the price would squeeze on it as a result. Bex, I knew I would have had an order on HYMC for first thing this morning. Any further thoughts on it? Corporate pump and dump, but how high? Sticky ape makes me sus. I think it's definitely a squeeze potential, and I think what Adam Aaron and Sprocket, was it Sporfit, whatever that dude's name is, the gold guy. I think that what they've done is the Porsche style squeeze, where they bought a bulk of the available stock, and now they're just like holding it. And then at the market got picked up by retail. So now the shorts, I think, are definitely out of the ability to go out and grab this stuff for cheap. Everyone's going to hold on to it for a little more. So there you go. You had a real perfect title today, Houston. It's nice and perfect title, isn't it? Vidi Veta Vidi. VTW brand, thanks to Friday's close. Have to buy some shares today to cover the contracts you wrote. Hard to push down a stock when you are simultaneously buying it. Yes. And if we can keep it higher, we can get a little more gamma going because a whole bunch of contracts are going in the money. Let's look at the contract doohickey here. Yahoo. Okay, options chain. Oh, let's bring the Okay. So this is for April 1st. Aren't too big. All right, they start to get big at the 150 range. So we got 2,000 shares at 150. Got a bunch at 160. A whole bunch at 170 that went in the money today. Next big one is going to be 190, and then a shitload at 200. So by tomorrow, these should all be in the money. So we're going to have tiny amounts, whatever, maybe 1,000 in there, 2,000, 3,000, 5, 6, 15, 16, 20, 22, 33, 43, 48, 50, 57, 70, 60, 64, 67. That'd make it 80, almost 90. Shit. Okay, so 90,000. So if it goes above $200 by tomorrow, we'll have 90,000 new calls in the money. That's another 9 million shares I got to come up with. And if it goes to 350, we only got 280s on here for the weeklies. Oh crap! You might push everything in the money if by Wednesday things. So we could be at that's 90, 100, basically 110,000. So that'd be another 11 million shares that could potentially go in the money by Friday. That would be another week of gamma. But I have the feeling that the shorts will let it get to a certain price, and then they've been saving a lot of stock as ammo to do short attacks. So remember was it March 23rd, 24th, somewhere in there, the price shot up to 348, and then they did that just insane hammer where they took it down to 160 in like 10 minutes, and it bounced up to 250 or something after that. I think we may see something similar. You know what? I didn't turn off the intro. And there's no way to turn off the intro without clicking on the big Houston. I just trapped myself. Damn it. I just realized I trapped myself. I can't change screens to turn off the intro without changing screens. And the intro is going to play, and there's nothing I can do about that. I'm stuck. I'm going to catch 22. I know it's going to happen now. And we are stuck. Maybe I'll just sit in this screen forever and you guys will never get your second intro. Damn it. Oh, the streak was at 3. I just ruined it. And I realized it too late. Well, here you go, you dorks. Dang it. All right, now it's off. Not everything can go my way today. But, okay, so, yes, last March, the price went absolutely bonkers on, I can't remember, the 23rd, 24th of March, just rocketed to 348, and then they hammered it down to 160 in like a 10, 20-minute period, 150, somewhere down there. It just went, and then it bounced right back up, and 10 minutes later, it was at like 250. I wouldn't doubt we see something like that hit. They may use up all their ammo, and everybody might go, ooh, shares at 160, ooh, calls at 160, and they just gobble, 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 gobble. Or it may be a little more sustained like we saw last June, where they steadily were able to hammer it down over a few days, and then it settled out at a much lower price for the rest of the summer. We had one pop at the end of August, and then the other big pop was November when we saw it hit 257, somewhere in there. But man, I think we just have to prepare ourselves. The shorts still have access to this liquidity. They're willing to sacrifice smaller funds. They don't care. And again, like, they can make a fortune off this stuff. If a lot of these calls that are in the money right now are owned by the big hedge funds, they just made like billions of dollars in cash. And then if they turn that into puts and they hammer it down, then they just made billions more in cash. So they may have upped their ability to extend their margin by quite a bit if they do this. So I'm just saying, keep that in mind. We may see awesome prices the rest of the week. We may all be feeling high-fiving, and then they just turn on the murder button and they start hammering the price back down again. Okay. Daphne asks, Houston, last year they were able to keep this going and push GME down significantly. Now, do they have less ability to do that again due to liquidity levels, cost to borrow, interest rates? That's where I think the options market comes into play. This may continue for us, just being hammered between these two levels every few months, simply because big market makers have the ability to write these naked options over and over again. And we may see it until they lose that liquidity. They have some sort of capital crisis, and they can't meet capital requirements. And then all of a sudden, not as many options are being sold to hedge funds and others. So we may see this until that liquidity crisis extends further into the market than where it's hitting like the corporate interest right now, where they can't sell bonds and do things like that. Did you guys notice? Is it last night that the Japanese bond market started collapsing? The 5-year and 20-year Treasury bonds inverted. The 2-year and 10-year are about to invert, and the one to look for is going to be the 3-month and 10-year Treasury bond. That's gonna be the gnarly one that we've got to watch out for. That means recession is definitely on the horizon if that one inverts. So things are getting weird. David Cross, thank you, David Cross, for that super chat. And Braden Pettigrew, Houston, I'm planning a road trip across Canada this summer from Toronto to BC. Any spots for hiking or boom and bust towns you recommend? Oh man, so I've limited experience in BC. Basically taking Highway 1 across from Vancouver to Banff. Oh hi buddy. Everywhere in the Canadian Rockies is absolutely stunning. Banff, Lake Louise, Lake Lelac is also beautiful. Revelstoke is pretty cool. The Frank landslide, Hope Slide and Frank Slide are two places to check out. Just massive landslides that wiped out towns, and it is surreal to like be in the middle of that. So I like those places are really nifty. And then my other experience is going north of Vancouver up Howe Sound to Whistler, and going to like the Britannia Beach Mine is a really cool mine tour. Seeing the granite plutons and Squamish, like the most outdoorsy city in the world, is pretty neat. What was the name of the bridge? When I was younger, I did a bungee jump off a bridge in the Fraser River Canyon, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. That was so long ago. I think today would not have been old enough to be allowed to do that. I was like 12 and let me bungee jump off a bridge. So I don't think they would. They'd probably get some sort of fine and lose the license at that point. What was the name of that place? I can't remember. Shoot. But going through like the desert areas in Okanagan, it can be pretty beautiful. It's gonna be hot in the summertime, hot and dry, but Okanagan Lake is gorgeous. There's some really cool like old hotels, and there's cool shit out there. But that's about the peak of my knowledge in that realm. Because a lot of times I do the driving out there, it's middle of winter and it's dark and it's snowing and I'm going to a ski area. So there's not much to see when it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and pitch black outside because I'm going up to Big White or something. But you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna have a blast. I really want to go to like dinosaur country in Alberta. I've not been there yet. I may see if I can do that. If I'm going to the Banff World Media Festival, I may try to maybe go back that way. Head east, come down through Montana and back, turn it a couple day trip on the way back. But yeah, cool. It's a cool area. Okay. Oh, and if you drive like over Lake Huron in Superior, that's a long drive. It's like 3-4 hours between towns in some of those places. It just takes forever. And then you get to one town, they all speak French, and they pretend like they don't know any English, and it's really annoying. But they've got delicious poutine. There's usually like a poutine stand at either end of town, and everyone's loyal to one or the other. And you can eat your weight in cheese curds and gravy. Georgy Krasnopedsev. I'll try. I hope I said that right. Well, Georgie, someone here said Moaz starts today since he sold his AMC positions. Give that guy a medal for sacrifice. There you go. Bee's knees. Happy birthday. Did your mom and dad know you jumped? My dad did. My mom did not. My dad was living in Vancouver at the time, and I was up there visiting him, and we went on this like little trip up the Fraser River Canyon. And there was bungee jumping. I asked him if I could do it. And he was like, and let me do it. I don't think my mom ever knew. My brother did a bunch of skydiving and never told her either. So if she's watching this, Mom, yes, Gardner skydived and I bungee jumped off a bridge when I was 12. So there you go. Sorry, Mom. Okay. Georgie also wants to know on a scale of 1 to 10 how sexy are bismuth crystals. Bismuth crystals are just bitchin'. Like cool, some of the coolest iridescent, like almost look like oil slick iridescence. Let's bring that there. Images. These things are really cool. Look at these things. Nature made that. What? How did nature do that? Oh, I don't want to go to a... No, don't make me do that. Go away. All right. Some of these are just awesome. Look at these things. They're so pretty. They seriously look like a weird geometric Tron oil slick type thing. Like how is that? How did nature think? Oh, I want to make that. It's so weird. They are sexy. They're super sexy. I put them in my top 5 sexiest crystals. Be these, black opals, Mexican fire agates. Those are just cool. You ever seen a Mexican fire agate? Whoops. Of course, I did put an E at the end of agate. Okay. But Mexican fire agates are just... That is a 2-dimensional surface. It looks like it's 3D, right? See if we can do a GIF of it. I gotta go... Oop. How do I... Type GIF. Let's see if we can get some cool ones. Doing some weird stuff here. Come on, give it up. Show me. Do something. Oh, you're not doing anything. Urgh. But anyway, they're gnarly. Those are my favorites. I really like weird neon colored stones, rhodonites, Paraiba tourmalines. Stuff that just has like unnatural colors to them. But all the iridescent ones are definitely my top favorites. For show. For show. Okay. Unton. Evening. Had a silly thought. Could GME issue GME gift cards and give like dividend? Infinite money glitch if hedges are forced to buy divvies from GME. there was talk about this last summer. They're like, hey, GameStop, offer a $10 dividend or a $10 gift card or $25 gift card to all your shareholders. And then all of a sudden, all the naked shorts have to buy a $25 gift card from GameStop to hand to everybody who has shares. It would probably cost, it cost GameStop a fortune to do initially, but they could make a fortune again off. Because if there's a billion naked shares out there, that's $25 billion they just raised with guaranteed customers. So that could work out really well. And plus, a lot of the folks they'd be sending these gift cards to, what is a mutual fund going to do with $25 million in GameStop gift cards? Like, well, you go, I don't know what to do with this. How do we get rid of this? How do we sell it? How do we hand it to our... They aren't going to know. So there might be a lot of unredeemed gift cards out there that would just go into some sort of holding company for GameStop, and they would just make a fortune off of the interest of that from now until infinity. So, yeah. Okay. BW brand Bismuth crystals are very sexy. Not useful, but great to look at. It's true. You can put them on a counter or a table and just go, man, that thing is cool. Well, anyway, and then 2 days later you go, man, that thing is really cool again. The chat reset again while I was trying to read more stuff about bismuth crystals. Okay. And then Daphne asks, could this be the start to MOAS? Opinion on that, please. I'm 80% sure that we're going to get hammered back down again. I still think that the hedge funds have a lot of capital to push us back down. They may have been holding our price down, at the $100 and lower level for as long as they did, so that the implied volatility dies off and that calls got really cheap. So they buy a bunch of calls for cheap, and then they report a high short interest. They borrow a whole bunch so that the interest rate for cost of borrowing goes up, and then they let it fly. And they hold back. They aren't shorting. They're holding back. The price gets to a stupid level. They take those thousands upon thousands of calls that they bought for cheap, and then they sell them for tens of millions or billions of dollars, and then they buy their puts, and then finally use all that ammo they've been saving up for the last month or so of borrowed shares, and then they just hammer the price down, and then they turn that tens of millions or billions into like hundreds of billions of dollars in puts. So I still think that they've got liquidity, and they haven't quite run out yet. Some of the smaller funds may have. They may not have been able to play this as well. But I think some of the bigger funds have done their damage, and then that's it. Sorry, someone send me messages while I'm doing my show. Is it important? Nope. Okay. So I think there may be another couple of rounds of this in the future until we get like widespread talk about liquidity issues and things like that, like just hammering the market everywhere. And that could be 3 weeks away. That could be 4 months away. But the market is definitely starting to feel some issues. We have the commercial mortgage-backed securities are evaporating right now. So we've gone 2 years without a lot of these big factories, warehouses, retail shops, office buildings without tenants. And they are bleeding on their mortgages, and their bond market is also evaporating. So if we see these commercial mortgage-backed securities starting to sell for a lot less than what they're worth, which is what we're seeing, that could lead to liquidity contractions across the market. And we just saw housing prices peak nationally and then dip all of a sudden. After going ding, just dropped all of a sudden. So we may have turned the peak on the housing market as well. I think a lot of stuff may be culminating, maybe coming to a head, and if one of them gives way, I think a domino effects and all the rest of them do as well. And then we are in MOAS territory. Then we have a liquidity crisis. We got a credit crunch. Everyone's hemorrhaging cash. All their assets aren't worth spit, and they get margin called and liquidated, and then we win. Yay! Okay. Okay. B2B brand. George, there's nice YouTube videos of people trying to figure out the best way to make pretty bismuth crystals by hand. Oh, that would happen. Matt Newton, can you cover cost to borrow and how it causes MOAS? Cost to borrow essentially is like an upfront fee to borrow the shares. So usually it's pretty low. So like you want to borrow 1 million shares, it might have a 1% cost to borrow fee. So you're spending $10,000 to borrow 1 million shares right up the front. And then you have your interest rate that as time goes on, might be a yearly interest rate of 2% or something. You're paying 2% a year on the value of those shares as time goes on. When the cost to borrow fee goes absolutely bonkers, that means there's high utilization of the stock. So there's not many shares to borrow. And a short squeeze is very likely. So what the folks are looking for if they're going to lend out shares is that they want to guarantee that they're going to get them back. So they're going to make it pretty expensive for them to borrow. So if you see the cost to borrow fee shoot up to like 25%, it means they got to put 25% cash up front to take the shares. So that's a lot of money. You have to have the price drop more than 25% just to break even at that point within the day you borrow them. Otherwise, you're paying interest on it after that, which also interest price is probably going up. So when you see the cost to borrow skyrocketing, that means that anyone who's borrowing has to be really, really, really sure that they can drop the price a great deal in order to make a profit on their investment. Like if the cost to borrow is 100%, that means you have to drop the price to 0 to make any of your money back. Because you just borrowed 1 million shares, but you might as well just bought them on the market, right? Like what? Why would you borrow 1 million shares with $100 million and then have to pay $100 million just to borrow those shares? That's stupid. Go buy $100 million in shares. Right? Like if the cost to borrow isn't worth what you'd make on it, it's just silly. Okay. And then right under that one, it's a quick one. Greg Mathis, Houston, have you looked at SST? 2.8 million shares, short interest, 4% of free float, cost to borrow 231%. Holy shit. I'll have to look at SST. I'll look at that. Okay. SST. Bing. Take me to your leader. System 1 Incorporated. Let's see what they got for us. Let me just look at where they've been. Okay, the price is up after 5 years of nothing. Nothing. Price is up. That's weird. That is this flat for this long for 5 years? That's a long time to be really flat. Hammered down to there in January of this year, and then bounce right back. Change share statistics, float held, short shares 2.8 million, short ratio, short outstanding shares 3%. Short, this one Yahoo doesn't list the percent float, but what is shares outstanding 87 million, float 2.3 million. Okay, so that's easy to calculate. The short is more than the float. But I wonder if that means insiders have lent out shares. Might be weird if they did. Huh. All right. Something to keep your eye on. SST. See what that's all about. Da, 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 da. Drew, hope they sell those oil fields before it's too late. I see oil's coming down a little. Will it go back up during the summer when everyone's commuting? I think so. I think a lot of oil speculators still calling for like $150 to $200 a barrel, which is insane in price wise. But I think because we may see Iranian or Venezuelan oil start coming to the market legally, that some of that demand may get gobbled up. But yeah, I think oil's gonna rebound. Georgie, HYMC volume makes 0 cents. It's true, it makes 0 cents. It's super diluted, yeah. Okay. Meatball Candy Houston, is metamaterial sold already? You're talking about the MMTLP, the oil lands, and we're just waiting to hear results, or do oil prices still affect the deal? I don't think a deal's been struck yet. I think they won't announce until the switch over to Oilco. All those shares become Oilco. I don't think they'll make any announcement as to a sale. And it may be one of those things like it takes 3 months for paperwork to go through and filing here and registering that there and switching over lease names and whatever. It may take a while. So I think we'll see the MMTLP become Oilco before we ever get an announcement as to whether the fields have sold or not. Okay. Sad Boy Incorporated, Houston, do you think GME will ignite the MOAS rather than AMC? Yes. I think GME is queen of this castle. King of this castle? Whatever, emperor of the domain. I think it's GME's up here and AMC and others go down in strata of importance. And then there's a whole bunch down here of stocks we've never heard of. They're going to friggin' fly. There'll be some small engine company out of Tennessee or something that hasn't existed since 1997. All of a sudden their stock is worth 50 cents a share and people's weird accounts are going to suddenly explode. Okay. Chakuseki, if market makers are hedged with volatility swaps, will our run blow up anyone's margin that really would trigger MOAS? I think it already has blown up a few margins. I think there's probably some small funds in the hundreds of millions of dollars in asset size that this week are like, we give up, we're done, we're out. And we're just kind of waiting for news of those guys to make an appearance. But yeah. Legacy 10 Productions, what the heck is this L shape in the ocean? Is this just a Google Earth glitch? 55, 35. That's the one over Ireland. I know exactly where that is, Legacy 10. Legacy 10. It is a glitch. I'll take you guys there. One sec. It's a meeting of like two different... I gotta turn on the Google Earth. Where are you there? It's a meeting of two different, I guess, mapping systems. And it made that L. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, it's one in Ireland. Yeah. So this has to do with like one sonar map being overlaid on another sonar map, and this is a total glitch in Google Earth. It's not an actual L. It is a perfect looking right angle, isn't it? Because I think one map, was there, and then they overlaid it with a second, little more high detailed map or something, and it made that L. I don't know why they haven't gotten rid of that yet. You think they'd fix that by now, but they probably haven't done any secondary mapping. But it's a perfect north, south, east, west L. Absolutely perfect. It's very weird looking though, isn't it? Hilario Reyes Jr., I saw a comment that Adam Aaron made about investing in more companies to bring apes. I do not like that. It just sounds like we are being used. That does kind of sound like we're being used. Like, hey, how about you guys bring your capital over here, sell what you got over there, come over here. Most of us don't have much to play with beyond, like, you know, our what do you call it? Discretionary income at the end of payday. We're like, okay, this Friday I have a couple $100. I can use that to make a play here or there. We don't necessarily have the ability to dump huge amounts of cash into other companies, but we are short hunters. We hunt those shorts, and when we find one, you know, it may tickle our interest. Brandon Pettigrew, do you think the 145 calls for AMC can go in the money before they hammer it down? No, I don't. We might see AMC, you know, scream above $50, 50 to 70 this time around, but I don't think they can let it get much higher than that before they pull the trigger and sell their calls, buy puts, and hammer it down. If AMC gets to 145, that's when it's all over. AMC at 145 is, you know, makes AMC a $50 billion company, $60 billion company, somewhere up there, $70 billion company. And the market doesn't know what to do with that. So that means everyone's going to get margin called and liquidated if AMC ever hits those 145 numbers. And there's a whole bunch of like lotto tickets in that range. And if those go in the money, and that's just a bunch of shares that don't exist that all of a sudden to go out and get purchased, and the gamma alone on that, I think would cause MOAS. So I don't think they'd ever let it get to that range. Because if AMC's at 145, that means GameStop's at $1,400 or more. And if GameStop's at $1,400 or more, then it's definitely MOAS is on. And all that's happening is the price is going to keep going from there. That all shorts have lost all control of the situation. And fly away, birdie. We're going to the moon. Hey, Martin. Sorry for out to bed soon. Martin's awesome. He's the guy that took me around Zurich when I was in Switzerland back in January. Wonderful, wonderful guy. Does some really cool stuff at the university there. Okay. But yes, all right. It's very late for you, my man. Why are you doing up so late? Probably just watching the aftermarket going like this. Okay. Squumps, maybe I'll save like 5K and buy far dated, way in the money calls and just hold it once implied volatility goes down. I think options might be the only way to Kamehameha hedge funds. I think you're right. I mean, I'm literally doing an experiment. I have a 225 weekly and I've got a 119 for April 22nd. And I have the feeling if this sucker gets to $350, then, you know, those two calls are worth $30K. Sell them, buy 50 to 100 puts at $300. And if they hammer it back down, those puts all of a sudden become $1.4 to $2 million. Then take that money, buy 2,000 plus calls that are in the money or just out of the money. And then wait for them to hammer it back up in June. I'm going to see if I can turn $542 in 2 calls into like $20 million in 3 trades. Let's see. And if it doesn't happen that way, if I sell that stuff and the price keeps going up, then I've got my shares to moonshot me anyway. So I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm going to try and do what the hedge funds have been doing to raise liquidity and see if I can raise some liquidity. So if by like June 10th, all of a sudden you never see me again, that's why. I'm on a hammock, surrounded by dogs, swinging away, reading a book. So we'll see. We'll see if that works. Why not? Why not that kind of experiment? See what we can do. All right. Oh, crap. Just reset again. One sec. All right. Well, okay. Houston Wade Jr. Trading day like today goes a long way psychologically, especially those holding calls. Hope you didn't miss the bus. Yes. If you're holding calls, you were just woohoo. Everyone's woohooing right now. Okay, I'm only 46 minutes behind the chat. I finally just got to a part of the chat where I started the show. That's where we are. Uses options for printing. Let's go get some ladies. Stonkonator, are we hitting 300? I think we can probably get close to that 350 range again. That's my gut. My gut says 350 or so. It might be 250 like it was in November, but somewhere in there, I think we got the chance. It's obvious from the way it was running right at close and after hours that the gamma squeeze isn't over. So we have at least tomorrow of more gamma for sure. But at the how much it's risen in the last since Friday, in the last trading day, we may see further sort of preventative gamma happen. Carlos Reyes Cruz, thank you for the cake there. Sorry I didn't see that earlier. So we may see some more. Yeah. What did Chris Rock have on his face this morning? Fresh Prince. Sigh. The dad jokes are just everywhere. All right. Zachary Delia, do we think margin calls will ever go out? Yes, they've gone out. We know that one little fund got vaporized last week. Little one, they're worth like $300 million. I know it's only worth $300 million, but they threw in the towel. They're done. Can't remember the name of it though. Someone sent me a link to it. And there's others probably in the process of desperately trying to come up with cash. 0.72 just asked for their money back from Melvin, so we may be looking at Melvin getting sacrificed here, unless Melvin managed to make a fortune off of puts and calls. But I think that's where we're going. Did Newegg go up too? Newegg popped to 43%. Man, I don't think I had that on my list. So one sec. Oh shit! It did 43%. Let's add that to there. Dang, back to $7. So its peak was like 77, and then it's been steadily back down ever since. Now it's 10% of what it was. Okay. All right. So Newegg's having a day also. Maybe they got shorted to shit once their price was up there, and everyone shorted, and it went back down again, and now they're facing liability again. Now just what, 10 months later, 9 months later. Just in my head, Houston, can you explain the yield curve inverting again, like you explained to Elmo? It can't predict how bad a recession will be. It doesn't necessarily predict how bad the recession will be. It just sort of says that people are hedging that a recession is going to happen. So if interest rates or prices for short-term bonds drop below that of long-term bonds, it means that in the short term, people don't think they're going to get their money back. That's kind of what they're hedging on. So it's saying like soon everything's gonna be bad. People aren't gonna be able to pay money back. So we're not going to deal with this short term stuff at the moment. And that's kind of the way. That's roughly the indicator. Oh, and then Martin gave me some coordinates too before we went to bed. Hopefully he's still awake for the last few minutes. We can see where he's taking us. We're heading south. We're heading to South America. We're heading to this dude. We got ourselves a dude. Hey man, what's up? He's got a little dingle dangle. Yeah, he's got a little schlonger. All right, what's this place? It's pretty cool. Like I think a little lake there. It's got you got to mow some fingers. What's that place called? What is that place? There's also this is Argentina. There's also the guitar someone sent me to in Argentina before. Also, I think it looks like it's in Argentina. Is that where we are? Oh no, we're in Brazil. We're way further north. I'm gonna stay at Sao Paulo. Okay, probably further south than that. Yeah, little guy. Wonder what that's all about. Probably some like Baha'i cult or something. Well, there you go. Are those houses? You got a big building. Looks like you got little buildings that line this thing and trees, like a tree boulevard. Is this water? Or is that... What is that? Can we go in and see? Is there a Google Street View of the little man's donger? No! Come on, Google. You let me know if I'm looking at water or if I'm looking at... There's just a little schlong. Maybe this is grass and that's water and this is grass. Where? What? Well, heck. What is this place? What are you? And why hasn't Google Earth come here to drive around yet? Man. Alright. I dig it, though. Purportedly Stupid. I'm here late catching up. AMC up to about $30. You're welcome. That's Purportedly Stupid who sold his shares. So there you go. Good job, Purportedly Stupid. Way to set it off for everybody. But there has to be, a virgin sacrifice for every volcano, and you were it this time. Okay. Idaho, Washington real estate. Pi-Fi, define the squeeze process looking like 1. Volga-Vanna squeeze. 2. Gamma ramp. 3. Gamma squeeze. 4. Squeeze. 5. If the squeeze is violent enough, then MOAS. What stage are we at? We're in a gamma for sure. Perhaps a gamma ramp gamma in that range. If we can cycle that gamma ramp and it happens bigger and bigger with each week, then we can be in a full-on gamma squeeze. So last week was the monthlies. That's the big numbers of contracts that go in the money. The next monthlies are going to be April 22nd. So if the price stays pretty bonkers for this week and closing on Friday, if we close above 250 on Friday, then we have a similar size gamma next week as we did this week of 9 to 10 million shares. If that pushes the price higher the following week and close on the 8th higher than we were this week, then it may push another 5 to 10 million shares into the money. And if we can keep the price pretty high all the way till the April 22nd monthlies, we might have not just 10 million shares in the money, we might have 50 million shares in the money if the price can be above $300 by April 22nd. And if that's the case, then I think we go into full-on squeeze. Because that means they have to buy the float in order to make good on how many shares would be in there. What is the April 22nd? Let's look at that. There we go, options chain. Go. Okay, so let's look at how many April 22nd we have. Okay, April 22nd, we'll probably have some big numbers in there. So all that's in the money still. Small. Really? April 22nd doesn't have anything higher than 280 listed? That's weird. Sure about that? That's not very big numbers. I would bet the April 22nd will have more than that. In the money, show list, straddle. It would seem to me there's got to be more for the monthlies like that. All these puts, not very much in the money in puts. There's only 100 and change puts currently in the money. Well, it's 280. Is there a setting where it should go higher than that, right? That's weird to me. Let me see if I have the option on my doohickey here. Nope. Out of my way. Out of my way. We're going there. We're going there. Going to April 22nd. We are... Oh yeah, they're just not listing it on Yahoo for some reason. But there's puts. Oh, sorry, that's puts, not calls. Calls. Sorry. So there's calls that go up to 315 for April 22nd. I don't know why Yahoo's not listing them. So anyway, there's going to be a lot more, especially as you approach those monthlies for sure. Because then there's going to be a lot of price action going on. People picking them up, and I think it's going to be bigger. Oh, I didn't even get to show you that. I was on the wrong screen. Huh. There you go. Duh. Still on that guy's schlong. But yeah, on Yahoo only lists them to 280, but I know for sure that there's calls that go to 315, which means there's probably some contracts higher than that just aren't being listed. Yeah, I don't know why they don't list more on that. This is April 22nd. So, whatevs. Okay. Now we're at the part of the chat where everyone realized that I trapped myself. We're at 0 days since the second intro. Yes. Okay. This is the saddest second intro. Okay. You guys are so mean. Okay. I do need like a second intro. So if I saw a sign behind me that said 0 days from second intro, I'd be like, oh yeah, let me turn off the intro. You guys would never get a second intro again. Two weeks, bro. You think the metamaterial is going to squeeze before July? I think if any squeeze of metamaterial happens, it's probably going to be about 3 months after they issue a dividend for the MMTLP shares, Oil Co, whatever you want to call it. So I don't think it will squeeze before then. So if they haven't offered that stuff now, then by July I don't think it can squeeze. I think it's something that will happen after that, and I don't know whose number that is. So I'm not going to answer it. And that's where we are on that. Yeah. So I think it's if you're going to play any options or anything with metamaterial, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I will only be looking at very long-term investments in those. I don't think 3 months is far enough out, so I'm not going to do that. Squamps. Bismuth is in Pepto-Bismol, which is for poop. Don't eat bismuth crystals. Don't do that if you have the runs. Okay, we got some people offering some good cross-Canada road trip stuff. Nikodaru. More info for BC travel from Edmonton. Head over to Jasper, down to Icefields Parkway and the Glacier. There's a skywalk, which is insane. Keep heading down the highway to Radium Hot Springs. Oh, Radium Hot Springs is really cool, too. That's a good spot. I recommend Radium Hot Springs. That's a great spot, too. Okay, that's a question. Richard Swinehart. I'm sorry, but all I'm hearing is the F slur instead of agates. Agate. Sorry, if I mumble, I might. Oops. All right, there's the intros. Okay. Vladimir Putin. Okay. Yeah, listen to Nico Daru. He's got some good ideas. It's probably beautiful. That's a beautiful drive from Radium Hot Springs. I recommend it. Northern part of Saskatchewan, very attractive compared to the flat prairie south. That is a boring part of the drive. I've done that drive once, like all the way across. and it is a lot of flat. But then again, in the U.S., it's the same thing. It's just a lot of flat nothingness. It's pretty hard to avoid those spots. Like you hit the western part of North Dakota on Highway 90 on Interstate 94, and the first 20 miles of North Dakota is some of the most beautiful land I've ever seen. Just really cool badlands and like purple canyons and just awesome stuff. And then once you get past that, then there's not a geographic feature for 300 miles. If you're lucky, you'll get some sunflower fields later in the summer. But until then, if you're doing it earlier and you don't see the sunflowers, then it's pretty lame. Okay. Rusty Nail, the odds if we get into the 40s, you may as well not just show up for Friday stream. Gonna get weird. If we're still flying this high by Friday, you guys are gonna be like toddlers giving pixie sticks, just out of control, uncontrollable. AT, did you lose a bunch of weight over the last 6 months or so? I mean, I'm back to my normal fighting weight. Yeah, I was like 20, 25 pounds heavier than I am now last April. That's because last winter was just a depressing winter. I wasn't doing any skiing. There was no vaccine yet. It was pissing rain. I was just a miserable little fatty last winter. But now I'm, out and about, moving around and going skiing and exercising and being how I should be, which is not just a loaf waiting for, things to get better. Things got better. Hey, look at that. All right. So yeah, I've lost 25 pounds since then. I lost it pretty quick. I lost it by like June, July. Once it gets warmer, my body runs kind of hot, so it melts it off. If they're to buy 1 million shares at market price, we'll launch. Yes, Ronnie. Any whale who wants to just mess with these guys, like if you were an Elon type wealthy person, you had billions to play with, you could slowly, limit prices or whatever over a few months, pick up several million shares. Just pick up several million shares, just here and there, whatever. And you amass this amount at fairly low price per share. And then you take a big pile of money, you say, order 1 million shares. I would just market price now. And the price would go, and all the value of what you had will skyrocket. And that would be enough, I think, to push this stuff over the edge. So if you want to throw $200-300 million behind this, maybe $1 billion, thinking the price might go to $1,000, you could trigger MOAS like that if you're a whale. And let all the other shares you have, let their value go screaming. So there you go. Death Valley 69, you are known to be a rocker. Thoughts on Taylor Hawkins' death? Poor guy, man. That's all I got. I'm not particularly a Foo Fighters fan. I love Dave Grohl. I love a lot of his other music, but I really don't like the Foo Fighters. I just never have. But like Queen of the Stone Age, Nirvana, his work, Probot, I love all that stuff. But from what I heard, he's an awesome dude. He's apparently Dave Grohl's best friend. I feel for him. It's just brutal. It reminds me of when Chris Cornell died on tour a few years ago with Soundgarden, and it just hits everybody. Like it's brutal, and it's worth it in a foreign country. I think it's just gnarly. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, to have to experience loss like that suddenly. It's just gnarly. So I love Dave Grohl. Foo Fighters, but I feel for those guys. Okay. All right. I did a big catch up there because there was about 25 questions that are the same thing over and over again. So we're only 20 minutes behind. There. That's a good catch up. Crispy 101. Maybe this is where cost shines. No options play to make up up 24%. Yeah, cost has been flying. Cost is a weird one because there is no gamma. Because there's no options chain, and they are shorted insanely. We're talking, that's a $2+ million float. What is the float on costs? Statistics. So costs has it's up to 6 million float. Okay, there's a 6 million float right now, so it's up since last year. The reported short is only 2%, but you don't see a 24% rise like that if there's only 2% short, especially for a stock that there's a 6 million float, and they were trading as much as like 10 million shares a day. How much do they trade today? Costs. Go back to there. Go back to costs. So costs has a 6 million float and traded 4 million shares today. That's not how life works. If there's not an insane number of short shares out there. I bet there are probably more owners of costs than there are shares at this point. Like, that's just not how it works. I forgot to put that on the screen. So yeah, so cost has 5.99 million shares, and 60% of it are held by institutions and insiders. And they're saying that there's only 100,000 short shares in costs. No. In October, when they won that lawsuit, they had a 14 million share trading day. That's not how that works. So, yeah. Cost is definitely a weird one. Okay. Thursfisat. How much are you up on your weekly April 1st? Grand? I bought Friday afternoon at 192. About 192. I'm up 866, so almost a grand. And at one point it was at 1100 just before close. So it was up basically a grand at that point. I think it's going to go up more. If they start hammering, I think it's going to be Wednesday or Thursday. Because if I remember last year, I think it was a Thursday last year when they hammered it from 350 down to 160 in March. If I remember, was that it? If I remember correctly? I'm asking you guys. You weren't even around. You weren't even paying attention. You were here. What was it? Monkey's not telling me. She's not revealing her secrets. She's just being a little goober, laying in her bed. Bee's knees. I can pay my rent for 6 months for what I made on one GME call. Boom. That's how you do it, my man. Way to go, Bee's knees. You are the Bee's knees. Spiciest day. Bex, is B-Big likely to shift with all the current volatility? Or is it waiting for its own events? It's on my list of irritating to look at in my portfolio. Ditto. I'm still down huge on B-Big at the moment. And it keeps promising and then nothing happens, and promising, nothing happens. And it's because they've been talking about issuing this share dividend thing for 6 months and they haven't done squat about it. So, we're waiting. Come on, B-Big. Come on, Vinco Ventures. Give us that deliciousness. All these meme stock companies, I wouldn't call for them to collude with each other, but if they perhaps maybe started offering dividends or meaningful weird squeeze-like things all happening, coalescing around perhaps a similar date. Say, offering a huge dividend for MMTLP at the same time GameStop officially launches their exchange, which happens to be the same time that BBig finally offers their preferred share dividend. At the same time that, I don't know, some cost squeezes, whatever. Just blend all that stuff together, man. Blend it all. Riptide Redemption, just saying hello to all the familiar names in chat. Well, thank you, Riptide. Thank you. Reminder, tomorrow's Charity Tuesday. We're raising money for the Jose Andres World Kitchen, which is feeding a bunch of refugees in Ukraine right now. So keep that in mind. I'll be show tomorrow afternoon. And we're hoping to raise some big dollars to help out those refugees. So stay tuned for that. Forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show. Dame Horatia Houston emailed AMC about their procedures to be nominated to the board. No response to either email. I did read that anyone who is nominated needs to also give their consent to be nominated. Okay. So basically get like something to say like, I am willing to be nominated. And then they send that as well or give that to you or, interesting. I wonder if we should do like, when you know those small towns that like elect, a German Shepherd mayor. Harambe is now on the board. The ghost of Harambe is on the board at AMC. Okay. Mark Sloan, Houston, I am new to investing and I'm holding some GME. I hear you talking about buying calls and puts. Can you explain what they are and how they work? Whew. I can do my best. Doing calls and puts is kind of one of those things that you have to kind of tinker with to figure it out. So if we look at this week, this is April 1st weeklies for GameStop. And right now, if you buy a call that's out of the money, let's see here. So $195 call cost you $17 a share premium, right? Because that's basically what you're doing is you're buying a contract for 100 shares that if the price goes above $195, you are allowed to execute and get for that $195 price. So you're paying a little premium to hopefully get a deal on these shares. Right now, $17.85 is probably not that much of a screaming deal, so you might go further out of the money. You might go to like, I don't know, $255, get $6.90 a share. So if it goes to like $300, you can be paying about $262 per share, and so you'll make $38 off every single one of those 100 shares that you have an option to buy. Puts on the opposite side. Puts, you're looking at, you're saying the price is going to go down. So if you get a put at, I don't know, $150 here, you will pay $3.45 for the option for somebody to buy shares from you at $150, right? So if the price goes to $100, you just made $50 for each share in that contract. Because what happens is they've got to buy 100 shares from you. And so your broker goes out, gets 100 shares at $150 and then gives them the shares and you keep the $50. That's basically how it works. So it's a way of taking bets as to which way the stock price is going to go. And because it has 100 shares involved, it sort of logarithmically can rise compared to just owning physical shares. But if you get to like April 1st and your stocks are not in the calls or puts are not in the money, that money vanishes. It's gone forever. So whatever risk you take on a call or a put, and you do not sell before the expiration date, the money's gone forever. That premium money will stay in the pocket of whoever you paid to purchase that contract, and that's it. You don't get any more. So there's a huge risk. When I tinker with calls. 4 out of 5 times I made a poor bet, and the 5th time it pays for all those poor bets and then some. So you don't always win when it comes to calls. But in a week like this, week like today, makes up for every terrible decision I made for the previous 5 months. Like, this week has just been fantastic, and woohoo! I think we're rocking. Gherkin Pickle Financial has some really great videos explaining sort of the Greeks, the different volatility, time decay, things like that happen that result in the price you see on these, and I recommend watching those. I'm not super great on that stuff. I know what theta decay is, but for the life of me, I wouldn't be able to explain it to you. So I recommend Pickle Financial. I think he's got a recorded video that just kind of is a 20-minute explanation of the prices and why they are the way they are on these things. If you're going to experiment with options, I don't recommend you experiment with options with a stock that's expensive like this. It's going to cost you a fortune to learn your lessons, and you may not know why you're gaining or losing money. I started playing with like penny stocks that aren't worth very much, where the stock price is at like $1 and you can pick up options for a few pennies per share. And so your total investment can be like $10. And you can see, I made $15, I lost $10. Oops, I guess that's one less espresso or whatever. But until you kind of grasp what price action means for the cost and value of these puts and calls, I don't quite recommend playing with the big boys and their big toys quite yet. So just if you're confused, stick with buy and hold. That's the safe bet. Just stick there, and don't play with the expensive stuff until you feel like you've mastered the cheap stuff. And some of those plays, like Unusual Whales on Twitter, they'll post gain porn. They'll talk about some penny stock, and the options are 5 cents a share. Someone picked up for $5. It went up 91,000%, and they made a fortune. Sometimes there's some really big plays to be made with those penny stocks you can tinker with, but don't risk losing a lot of money on something. Never risk more than you're willing to lose. That's always the rule. And if you're in a learning process, risk very little. That'd be my advice on that. I don't know if I explained it properly. Yeah, Pickle will tell you to paper trade. That's also, yeah. Yes. Mexican Silverback, can my broker cancel my good till canceled sell order that I've placed on Webull in case I'm unable to log in due to network problems during MOAS? I have no idea. That'd be something to ask Webull. My biggest fear is that my Comcast internet sucks. It seems to go out like 3 times a week for no reason, and that at the most opportune time possible is when my internet's going to go out, and I'm going to have to like run to my car and drive to somewhere where I can actually get cell signal to do anything. I prefer not to do it that way, but that's life. So I don't know. I would talk to Webull about that for sure. Aaron Salentine, would a $60 MMTLP dividend cause a short squeeze on metamaterial? Hell yeah, I think it would. You have to look at a $60 MMTLP dividend would likely result in $6 billion in liability for the shorts. Maybe $60 billion in liability for the shorts in payment and lose. So if they default on their payment and lose, not only will they get liquidated to cover the costs those payment lose, but they get liquidated to recover the shares that were borrowed. And those shares were Torchlight shares that now have to be bought back as metamaterial shares, which would cause forced buying and a squeeze on metamaterial. But it wouldn't be until months later. That's what happened with Overstock. Was Overstock issued their crypto dividend. The shorts weren't able to provide the crypto dividend to those they borrowed the stock from. The crypto dividend price skyrocketed, and the price of the stock skyrocketed because they got liquidated and were forced to buy Overstock stock. And Overstock stock went to like 120, 160, somewhere in there, I can't remember, in just 3 months. So there was a slow burn, and all of a sudden, wink, about 3 months later, everything skyrocketed. That's the way I envision metamaterial going as well. So if the dividend is large, isn't like if it's $10 or more, I think it's enough to cause a squeeze on metamaterial. Okay. All right, Brandy Deputy. Man image on Google Maps is Lake Lagao humanoid. Oh, humanoid. Duh. Lake Lagao humanoid. Excellent. It is a lake. There we go. Thank you. 414 is monthly? I thought the monthlies were the third week of the month. And that would be third Friday. That would be the 22nd. 14th is the monthly? That doesn't seem right to me. Numbers aren't that big on the 14th either. But they do have prices at 510, so maybe it is the monthlies on the 14th. Oh, you're right. They go up to 510 on the 14th. Crazy. Okay, so let's look. Thank you for correcting me. Who was that corrected me? York. Thank you, York. So this is the 14th for GameStop. If we can close at the $300 level, that pushes 1, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18. We can do 18,000 calls more. I'm sure there'll be a lot more trading that week of too. They'll jump those numbers. But, another few million shares by then. I doubt I'd, get to the 510 level by then. I don't know if that's going to happen. But there are a bunch of lotto tickets there. There's 8,000 lotto tickets for that. So, yeah. I was looking at the wrong one. Open interest. Let's 10x that sucker. So another 10 million shares could go in the money by then. All right. So there you go. Yeah. Now everyone's saying same. It's the quarterly. 14th. Okay. Mexican Silverback. Can anybody buy MMTLP shares and receive the dividend? That's the idea. The problem is that you don't know if you're getting naked MMTLP or if you're getting legit ones. The legit ones will for sure get the cash. The naked ones might not get it until a hedge fund gets liquidated. So, where's the big dog? The big dog was on the floor. He just walked away. He's been hanging out by my feet, breathing on my toes, making them very humid. Yeah, you big weird dog. Hey, big weird dog, come here. Everyone wants you to say hi. Come here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm Snoopy. There you go. Yep. And you can see, there he is. There's that big doofus. Yeah. All right. There. He likes to hug with his neck. He's a very big hugger. Oh, are you breathing hard? Are you a heavy breather now? Aaron Salentine, I still have one $900 strike call option from last year. Expires in July for GME. Okay. Let's get you there. Let's put that sucker in the money. Okay, what? Oops. Reset again. Always resets on me. And there you go. Okay. Someone said, ask WTF, what is Highcroft doing? What is Highcroft doing? Oops. Go to the Highcroft list. It's up to 260. Basically doubled. Almost doubled. We're up 81% today. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Another 12% after hours. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you big dog. Yeah, you big breathy dog. Breathing hard. If Tesla issued a dividend, doesn't that kill the naked shorts? Yes, but Tesla's not profitable, so Tesla wouldn't offer a dividend. They have a lot of debt, and have not made a profit yet. So I don't think they can quite yet. Oh yeah, a little neck scratch. Yes. Look right in the camera and say, I love neck scratches. What did I say? Yeah. There you go. Okay. It's flat. Saskatchewan, Ontario is fun to drive, especially during the fall season. Probably good colors up there then. Pika-toad gave me a black cat. My black cat, I haven't seen my black cat in like a week. He's been hiding in my roommate's room ever since I brought this monster home. So my cat's like, I'm just going to live in this 200 square foot space forever now. Jonathan, what does it mean that we have microplastics in our blood? How do we filter it out? We're full of microplastics. The food we eat are full of microplastics. So think about like lint from your fleece jacket, or micro beads in your body gel, or worn off plastic shavings off of parts of cars and plastic bottles and anything else. Just tiny little microbes of plastic that don't necessarily break down very well, biodegrade. So they're going to last for thousands of years before, there's some sort of action that makes the chemicals break down in those things. Well, those things go in the ocean and they float around, and you have filter feeders like plankton and whales and creatures like that gobble them up. And then you have other fish that come along that eat those things, and they get into their bodies. And so you can actually do an experiment and take like a salmon or tuna, and you can extract the microplastics out of their muscle tissue and their blood vessels. But we eat that stuff, and it goes into our bodies. And so we've got microplastics inside of us, lots of them. A lot of whales. Oh, you did your furs in my mouth again. A lot of whales that are like filter feeders, baleen whales, things like that. There are times where an appreciable portion of their diet is actually plastic and not the zooplankton and phytoplankton that normally filter and eat. That they're just filtering plastic, filling up their bellies with plastic, and then starving to death essentially because their bodies can't digest that plastic. We dump so much plastic into the ocean. A lot of the plastic goes in the ocean. You'll see stats that are like, oh, China, Malaysia, and Indonesia are responsible for 70% of all the plastic in the oceans. It's their fault. That's because nations like the United States, Canada, Europe, we put our plastic to be recycled onto barges. Those barges go all the way across the planet to Indonesia, Malaysia, or China, and we dump it on a beach, and where it's going to be recycled someday. And then what's happening is it goes right back in the ocean. So a lot of that stuff is not getting recycled. And it's just going into the ocean, getting stuck in gyres. And like the Pacific Ocean gyre is 300,000 square miles, basically just a gyre of plastic that's bigger than Texas. It's just rotating in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I think Google Earth should put the gyre on Google Earth. I think you should be able to like look at how big the gyre is on Google Earth and just see how much plastic waste is there. There's been lots of ideas for gobbling up all that plastic and doing something with it. But my fear is you gobble up that plastic, they'll put it on a barge, they'll send it to a beach in Indonesia, dump it on the beach again to get recycled, and it's just going to wash right back in the ocean again. We have to have, I think, to solve the plastic pollution problem, we need to have government-funded recycling plants that, regardless of whether they make a profit or not, that stuff just needs to get taken care of. And we can either melt it back into plastic beads to be used again, we can melt it into oil to be used and burned, or we can melt it into something that can be injected back into the earth so that it goes back, it fills back up a oil well again. I don't know. Just somewhere to get it out of our ecosystem entirely. But we are definitely in the plastics age. You know, we did the Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, Industrial Age. We're in the plastics age. Everything we use uses plastic. I mean, I'm staring at a dozen things right now. My computer monitor, the camera, the light, the microphone. Like, plastic is inside and everywhere of all these things and is integral to how our society operates today. Because it's so easy to mold plastic into stuff and cheap that's just kind of what we do. We are plastic people. Okay. 3:30, got half an hour. All right. Yeah, I don't think you can filter it out. I think it's just in you, man, until somebody else eats you. Bill Coyne, our military dumps more plastic, oils, waste than any other entity. No ship has a recycling center. There you go. So we are definitely responsible for a lot of that. Okay. People asked about Mullen. Do you have any thoughts? Did Mullen do anything today? I don't know if they did. Let's look. Mullen did not do anything. They stayed green, but they're actually down from a peak today. They got 273, not 249. We'll climb after hours. Not much happening with them. Volume was way down. Normal volume is about 300 million shares. They did 147 million today. So maybe people aren't quite paying attention because GameStop is ripping so hard. The focus is going to GameStop at the moment. Hey, big dog. What's up, buddy? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, going for the hug. There you go. Dang, Online Eddie. Got a boatload of those MMTLP shares. Nice job. Okay. Okay, Torchlight. People talking about Torchlight. People talking about Be Big. GME $200 tomorrow? Easy. I think GME 225 to 230 tomorrow. That's my gut. And then perhaps a big old rip Wednesday or Thursday before they hammer it down. They want to get our hopes up leading into Friday before they go, all right, they push her back down again. Cash out those calls for as high as they possibly can. Okay. GME FOMO engaged. Daphne, are you willing to be nominated for the AMC board? Why not? I mean, they meet, once a month? I can do that. I'm on a couple of boards here. I can do that, plus the Ferry Advisory Committee. Yeah, we can do that. I'll take it. If you guys nominate me for the AMC board, I will take it. And I will hold on to my 40 shares like a ape who can't sell his insider shares. I do think one of the things that AMC should do is, they keep saying like, oh, well, they don't pay their board anything, so they got to sell their shares. Well, give them a nominal salary. Pay them $100,000 a year. You got $100,000 a year. You don't need to sell your shares. So you can't say, oh, I have to sell $30 million in shares because they didn't pay me anything. Just pay them a nominal salary, and then when they say they got to sell their shares and make money, be like, well, why don't you stop buying avocado toast in that Starbucks drink every day? Save yourself some money. Okay. All right. Oh, there's a chat. Peachy Sunday. Would you rather lose 25 IQ points and look like Chris Hemsworth, or gain 25 IQ points and become Danny DeVito? I'm going to be totally honest. I think if Danny DeVito wanted to, he could get it more than Chris Hemsworth. So I'm going with Danny DeVito. I'm going for smart and troll over Himbo any day. There are a lot of ladies out there who want themselves some Danny DeVito, and I want those ladies. Bitcoin GME volume is very. It has to crash soon. Might get a few more days. I think so. There was about 10 million shares, I think, that had to get purchased. Our volume was 12 million today. Alright, that makes me log in every single time I do that. Very annoying. GME volume 16 million. Okay, so we had quite a bit after hours. Alright. So that's coming close to covering what they needed to for their gamma. But at the same time, there's high frequency trading, same share bouncing back and forth. Yeah, so we got some of that. Hey, big dog, you big doofer. Monkey butts in the background, scratching your ear holes. So we may have a day or so more left in buying for this, but at the same time, the fact that we are now $50 above where we were at close on Friday, that tells me that there may be some gamma ramp happening right now to cover for those shares on Friday, those options on Friday. So unless we see a specific short attack, I don't see the price dropping. So what we have to look for is we have to look for that short attack, and when that's going to happen. And they might short it back down to $100, and then Ryan Cohen goes, "I just made another 100,000 share purchase at market through IEX," and then right back up again. Okay. Project Sun says, good book that Gherkin recommends options as a strategic investment. Okay. That's probably it. That's probably the one you want to read then. Do that one. Nikadaru got a spot in BC. Let's check it out. Pretty far north. Let's go to British Columbia. Let's see somewhere in British Columbia we want to visit. Why don't you turn on? Turn on. Still got that dude. We're gonna leave that dude. We're gonna go straight north. Go. Ring. Spin around. Heading north. Oh, that is not anywhere. Did I? Oh, I forgot to put a 5 in front of that. That's why. Actually, it took us to the equator. Let's try again. There we go. All right. Into Canada. Way up north. We are at a lake. Which lake is this? This is Pavillon. Or Pavilion. Pavilion Lake. That looks probably a beautiful drive along there. There's Pavilion. There's the Fraser River. All right. I have not been up here at all. I have no idea. There's a big... That looks like a big mine right there. That's a definite... There's 2 big pits there. A couple others. That's a big mine. I wonder what mine that is. There's Kamloops. I've been to Kamloops, been to some peaks. Been to Kelowna. Revelstoke. There's Revelstoke. This drive is beautiful. It's beautiful through there. I recommend it. And once you get into the Rockies here, it is just, you go Revelstoke, Golden, Lake Louise, Banff, just beautiful. Every you've almost run off the road. Also because bears keep jumping out on the road. So you gotta watch out for literally a black bear somersaulting on the road and then climbing across and go to the other side. But I've not really been, I haven't been north of Jasper really, so I haven't really been up here. I'd love to go up here someday. But someday. Vancouver Island's really cool if you ever get a chance to go to Vancouver Island also. Highly recommend. Howe Sound is beautiful. Just tons of gorgeous places all along here. There's Britannia Beach Mine here, Squamish, rock climbing capital of the world. there's a funny story about which end of one of these sounds. I can't remember which one it is. A friend of mine was doing a sailing trip up the Inside Passage, ended up at a little tiny state or provincial park somewhere along here that was kind of in the middle of nowhere, and anchored, came on shore with their dog, and went to go use, like, a picnic, and then there's like a little bathroom. They went to go walk to the bathroom, and they got surrounded by a whole bunch of gray wolves and like his chocolate lab, and barely escaped back to the boat without getting eaten by like a dozen gray wolves that were going to kill him and his dog. So, it can be pretty darn wild out here in a hurry. But Howe sounds beautiful. Beautiful place. Okay. Ronnie E92, hey bro, I'm a cable tech. If your internet is constantly dropping, call into Comcast so they can get tech out there. It's most likely ingress noise. No, what they keep doing is this weird, it's planned maintenance, and it happens at the weirdest time. So I report like, hey, my internet's out. I'm like, oh no, it's planned maintenance. We'll be back on 2 hours. I'm like, what? It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Why are you doing planned maintenance at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? But it's very annoying. The internet consistency is better now that my roommate, who was a film editor, is gone, because he'd be like transferring terabyte files constantly while I was doing my show, and you guys would find me like frozen all the time with just my audio coming through. So that's gotten better, but we pretty much maxed out the bandwidth of this place back then. Okay. Garfield Connolly, what date did I have to own metamaterial for dividend, or could I still buy now? Metamaterial is not offering the dividend. It's MMTLP, which is the Metamaterial Torchlight Preferred Share. You had to own Torchlight to get the MMTLP share, but you can still go buy it, because it wasn't supposed to trade, but Citadel and Knight suddenly somehow made those dividend shares tradable. So you can go through OTC and you can buy MMTLP, and that's the dividend share for that. Oh, did I miss a super chat from Gordy? Oh, sorry, Gordy, I missed your super chat. Sorry about that. Hi, Houston, could you explain your put strategy on GME, long-dated price points? Thanks. My strategy is this. If the price gets close to 350, I might sell my calls in that 330 to 340 range. Just go, bing, sell them, bunch of cash in my account, cool. I'm immediately going to buy as many puts as possible as I can in the $300 range before they hammer the price down. If I sell that stuff and they start hammering the price down as I'm trying to buy puts, I may be screwed. But I want to buy puts in that $300 range. I'm not sure exactly, depending on the implied volatility, it could cost me, $300 to $500 per put. I'm hoping less, but it's probably in that range. So that's 50 to 100 of those I might be able to buy. If they hammer the price back down to $150 or $100, I've made $15,000 to $2,000 per put, and that puts me well in the $1 million range. We're cool. And that may happen pretty darn quick. If they keep the price fairly suppressed over April and May, leading into June, when we saw some action last year, I can buy, let's say, 2,000 to 3,000 calls that are just out of the money for a couple $100 each. So let's say the price is at $100. I can probably buy a whole bunch at 120, 125, somewhere in there. And if we rock it in June, right? Let's bring up the calculator, because I always like calculators. They're our friend. Turn you off. Got the calculator. So let's say I've got 3,000 calls that are set for August, September, whenever, just months away. And in June, the price goes from $100 to $350 again, like it did last June. think it went from 140 to 335, somewhere in there. So if we can get $20,000 for each one of those 3,000 calls, then I turned $542 into $60 million in 3 trades. That is all theoretical. That's what I'm shooting for. But I think, if timing works out right, and with the hedge funds are doing exactly what they've been doing for the last year, I think it's very doable. And so let's say, right, I managed to get to this point. I have $60 million in cash from those calls rocketing again in June, and they hammer it down again. So let's just say that I put 30 million of that, I throw that aside to pay taxes and to live off of for the rest of my life. And I take the other 30 million, so I got 30 million bucks left, and I decide to buy a bunch more puts at $300. It might cost me, let's say they cost me 500 bucks. So I can get 60,000 puts. Right, 60,000 puts at $300. And the price drops right back down to 150 like it did last summer. So I did another 15,000 for each one of these things. Theoretically, I could be at almost 3 comma club just off of that play alone. That'd be 4 trades going from $542 to $900 million plus a $30 million buffer, like for taxes and whatnot. Because you don't want to like make 60 million bucks, turn that $60 million directly around into puts that never pay out, and then lose your $60 million, and all of a sudden owe, $26 million in taxes that you don't have. So if you're do the full bore and YOLO all of it, just potentially facing prison from the IRS, you could be at 1.8 billion in 4 trades. That's pretty bonkers. So why not? My risk here is the $542 I spent on 2 calls. So I'm going to go bonkers with it and just see what we get. There. That's it. That's my simple explanation. Gordy, hope that worked for you. Okay. Okay. Sorry I missed your thing earlier. Okay, Meow Meow's got one. Meow Meow, what are the odds we lose all our space tech to chain reaction of collisions and space junk? Pretty darn high. Let's see the latest estimates. There was an estimate that we would suffer Kessler syndrome. It was like an 80% chance the next 30 years. Let's see here. So this is what this is. Meticulous. Go back there. Turn on Chrome. Okay, Kessler syndrome by 2050. So about 50%. No, this is just people. This is not mathematically done. This is just folks taking a guess. Dang it! Give me the one that calculates the odds. Give me the odds, man. These are ones from back when I was doing my grad school days. Non-defunct satellites have 5% chance of colliding tonight. That's 2020. Kessler effect, how to stop it. All right. Debris levels have risen 50% in the last 5 years in low Earth orbit. When was this? This is European Space Agency. This is from... Oh, thanks for the date on there, European Space Agency. You're not helping us at all. Last 5 years, but we have no date as to when we wrote this. So, good luck with that. It could have been anywhere in there. The last 5 years, last 10 years, I don't know. But I put the odds really high that we could be trapped on the Earth's surface for the next 5,000 years if we don't monitor space correctly. Or if we get a vindictive Russia or China, just like, screw you. We send some ICBMs up there to blow up a whole bunch of space debris. It could be real bad for us. Real bad. Okay. Excuse me. Again, Gordy, sorry for missing a super chat there. Sometimes I start talking and I miss that the green little thing popped up on the screen. But thank you for that. Okay. Okay. Ocean trash, ocean trash, ocean trash. Elevated finance. Highcroft just realized 200% with a large call position. Super glad I didn't listen to your assessment of the play. I reject reality, implement my own. There you go. Good job. I don't always get it right. Okay. Project Sun, you see the agate that looks like Cookie Monster when it's cut in half? Yeah, it's a thunder egg or something, isn't it? Geode, I believe. Yeah. Oops. Gotta put it up so you can see. There we go. There you go. How about that? 2 halves of it. Cookie Monster. Nom, 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 nom. There's another goofy one. There's this one. Another happy guy. I love it. It's a Brazilian Cookie Monster, apparently. Nice blue agate. I love it. Okay. Daphne's gonna pass on Chris Hemsworth, or she's gonna go pass on Danny Devito. Danny Devito, man, that dude's funny. I love that guy. Grizzly, what broker are you buying MMTLP on? I bought it on Fidelity, just fine. You have to be able to buy stuff on the OTC to get the MMTLP dividend. Green-eyed bandit elixir, green-eyed bandit elixir. Is there any way you can make a short video on the MMTLP metamaterial torchlight? Just hard to track because of all the mergers, dividends, OTC stock, etc. Yeah, I should probably do that. Make something with like little PowerPoint images so that people can keep track of what I'm talking about. That's a good idea. Maybe this week, to procrastinate from preparing for my class next week, I should do that instead. It's a good way to procrastinate. I'm all about procrastination. Jason Blackwell, when I heard oxygen was dating magnesium, I was like, OMG. Two hydrogen atoms are sitting around drinking, and one says, I think I lost my electron. The other says, are you sure? He goes, oh, I'm positive. Oh! You know what? Guys, my oldest Russian joke I have. So, it's 1995. I'm in a physics class, and my buddy, Nicky Goodwin, who has, at this point, done more drugs than a human being I've probably met to this point in my life, he's like, hey, I've got a good joke for you. And he starts telling me his joke. And it goes as such. So the wall had recently fallen. Russia and America had normalized relations. Russia had all this hope to become a Western-style democracy. Things were looking good. And as a result, these a Russian general and an American army general, they finally meet to talk and get to know each other and just see, like, see what commonalities two former bitter enemies have had. And the Russian general is kind of like, trying to brag a little bit about his military. He's like, hey, I have, 4,000 tanks in my battalion. And the American general's like, I got 4,500. Russian general says, I have 6,000 men. And the American general's like, I've got 10,000. Russian general's getting a little peeved now. He's like, I've got control of 200 helicopters. The American general's like, I've got 550 helicopters. The Russian general now is getting really pissed. He goes, well, my men eat 200 calories a day. And the American general all of a sudden is like, what the fuck are you talking about? Buddy, my American soldiers eat 3,000 calories a day, every day, day in, day out. And the Russian general's like, impossible! No man can eat that many potatoes. I love that joke. And the fact is, it's so freaking true. Like, 27 years later, that joke rings truer now than it did then. Okay. All right. We're almost at my going time here. It's a magnesium joke. Da-da-da-da-da. Radium hot springs. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, we're tour hot springs. Auckland. All right. Sean Pa. So you used to start buying puts, and we longs have to fight you and the hedge funds. Come back to the light, ape. I'll still have all my shares. I'm just going to do what the hedge fund's been doing and raise cash. So if I'm wrong and the price rockets, then I lose my $542 and I gain with all my shares. Just going to try it. See what happens. If I can bounce it back and forth, then I can do that mega ape whale thing. Load up on a bunch of shares and a bunch of calls and exercise all those calls all at once and make them pay. Because why not? I can become a whale myself. Okay. I Wake up to Danny DeVito every morning. No thanks. Okay. Peachy Sunday. Russian soldiers are eating sugar for calories. Their bags are filled with sacks of sugar. Oof. Oof. That's might be a short-term solution, but man, that is definitely not a long-term solution for those poor guys. Here, have a cup of sugar and some canola oil. Get your calories in there. But man, metaphorically speaking, shit happens. Subduction leads to orogeny. Don't take my schist for granted. Okay. We're caught up. I caught up right here to the end. Fantastic. Long on diabetes. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Unless I got something fancy here at the end to answer, that might be it for the day. Tomorrow, Charity Tuesday. Remember that. We're raising money to help a bunch of Ukraine refugees. Let's get $1,000 then. Let's have a big green day. Raise $1,000 for a bunch of refugees and World Kitchen, and help Jose Andreas and his fantastic charity that has fed millions of people in need, victims of war and famine and natural disasters. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna raise a bunch of money for folks. So yeah. All right. It's 4:00. That's it for me, everybody. All the dogs laying on various floors around here. I'll say goodbye, and let's take GME way above $200 tomorrow and rock and roll. All right, toodaloo. See you tomorrow.